everyone, Miss Alyssa here from Pediatric Interactions, and this week we are talking about some of our favorite ways to work on social skills with kids all the way up into adulthood. And something that I like that is really good for pretty much all ages, you can use it in different ways, is using the visual of a thinking bubble. So there's a lot of different ways that I like to use this. Sometimes having the visual can be really helpful. So I just have it on a whiteboard right now, which is really easy to do. You can always jot it down whenever you need it. You can also print out a picture of a thought bubble, cut it out, laminate it if you want, and add it to a popsicle stick. And that way kids can hold that up by their heads when we're talking about our thinking bubble. The first way that I like to use the visual of the thinking bubble, especially for younger kids, is to talk about the idea that when we're having a conversation or playing a game in a group or doing anything in a group really, is that we all have to be thinking about the same thing at the same time. So in that case, I might use a thinking bubble that has the little smaller bubbles going out in different directions, and then even maybe having some pictures of different people underneath that to represent the idea that if we're going to play this game together or have this conversation together or do this group project together, we all need to be thinking about the same thing at the same time. And then you can also, which is like why I like to have the whiteboard and even have it laminated so that you can draw in it, you can draw, well, what are we going to be thinking about? So maybe we are all going to be thinking, we're talking about picking apples from an apple tree. So you could just put that picture in there. I'm not a very good drawer. And that can represent that all of these people, you can even have pictures of people under here, are thinking about the apple tree. And if you are working directly with a group, I might even put the thinking bubble picture in the middle of the table that we're working on to remind us, this is our topic. This is what we all should be thinking about. You can also add, to explain this concept to kids, another thinking bubble over here with another person, and then in that thinking bubble, maybe it's a picture of a hat. Well, this person is thinking about the hat, but we're all thinking about the tree to represent that our minds are not thinking about the same thing at the same time, which can be, and this idea can be really helpful when we are teaching kids the idea of even topic maintenance and having topic maintenance within a group and thinking about the same thing at the same time. Another way that I like to use the thinking bubble with kids that are maybe slightly older, especially this can be helpful with some kids that are in like the middle school, high school age, or even later elementary, or younger too if they're ready for it, is think it versus say it. So there are some things that we can think, so because we can't always control what we think, so those things are going to go in our thinking bubble, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we should say it. So this is when I like to use it in conjunction with a talking bubble. So we have our talking bubble versus our thinking bubble. And this is a good visual to give kids, and you can even write different statements inside these versus what you might say versus what you might think. So something that is a think it statement might be, oh, you smell really bad. So we might write that in there or have the picture of a person plugging their nose. Something that might go into our talking bubble is, I really like your dress. So using these ideas of think it versus say it, and using this as a visual can be really helpful too. And this is a time where I might use these symbols on top of a popsicle stick, and you can say a statement and then have the kids raise up either the visual of their thinking bubble or the talking bubble to say, oh, that's something that I would say versus that is something I should only think. This can also be really helpful when thinking, again, with maybe some older kids or even younger kids if they're ready, the idea that what people say is not always what they're thinking. And so a lot of times I'll be talking about things like body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, some of those nonverbal things kids do. So I might draw a picture. Again, I'm not a great artist. Of a person, or you can even use pictures you find on the internet of them, of people having different facial expressions and doing different things with their body where it's pretty clear what they're feeling. So I might use these visuals for this too, where our talking bubble can say, maybe, I'm fine, but I'm looking at her face and her face has a frown and her eyebrows are down. So she might really be thinking, I'm sad. So this is a really basic example of this, but this is another good way to teach kids using the thinking bubble and the talking bubble, that we have to use those nonverbal cues that we see on people to know what they are thinking, because what they're saying might not always be what they need. So this is another nice way to kind of make that more concrete with the thinking bubble and the talking bubble. So those are just some ways that I like to use the visual of the thinking bubble and the talking bubble to help teach social skills to both kids and adults. Like I said, that's a visual that is nice because it can work on some of the skills we want younger kids to know, and then as they get older, as teenagers and even adults, some skills that they might need to work on or know as they get older. So we will have more ideas for you from our therapists this week. Thanks, see you next time.